Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as always, let me know if the video and audio quality is good, and I will do my best to fix any problems if there are. Now, let's go ahead and start with our blue player. We got miners with blasting chargers up here in the front line. Looks like we have 3 of them. 2 rangers sitting up there too. We're also going to have 5 corlers. Now, keep in mind these guys do have very good armor and bronze shields for that missile block chance. We're going to have longbeards and dwarf warriors. Looks like, what's that going to be? 2 longbeards and 4 dwarf warriors. We have the Dragonback Slayers here in the back, and it looks like he's going to be posting up here on top of this big old hill, the terrain feature here, and try to force his opponent to him. He's going to have a Master Engineer up here. Master Engineer is going to be supporting a Bolt Thrower, and he does have the Fiery Ring of Thori. Other than that, we have the aforementioned Bolt Thrower, which doesn't have a crazy amount of range. I mean, it's still good range, a lot of range as anything the Wood Elves have, but this is really just a tool to try to drag or force the Wood Elves forward into the real killing power of this army, which is its mid-range firepower in the form of those 2 Rangers and 5 Quarrelers. Now, I think that about rounds it out, but oh my goodness, how could I forget? You got to cover the Lord here, and it's a Rune Lord. It's going to have Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, as well as Master Rune of Grugni and the Locus of Power. Now, over here for the Wood Elves, brought by our red player, ODM Xiphos. We're going to have 3 Way Watchers on the far right flank, so a lot of killing power there and a lot of money invested right there. Glade Riders with Spears seem to be supporting them in the rear. I just see the 1 unit for now. We're going to have a whole lot of archers, and looks like we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts. Keep in mind they do armor piercing and fire damage. Now, over here we do have the Lost Sylvan Knights, who we'll find again in just a moment. We're going to see a Spellsinger of High Magic on top of an Eagle. Going to be bringing Arcane Conduit, Soul Quench, Apotheosis, and Ancient's Protection. Already kind of digging this Wood Elf build, not what I usually see. We're going to have 2 Waystalkers, both of them with the Arrow of Kurnos and the Eye of Kurnos. And looks like that's going to round out the Wood Elf force brought by ODM Xiphos. So staying true to his reputation as a very skirmish-focused multiplayer player. Having a hard time figuring things out right there. So looks like we have 1 player readied up and should be getting into it right now. Dowie, like I said earlier, taking up a very strong position on top of this terrain feature. They have plenty of distance between themselves and the white line back here, so we'll keep an eye to make sure, obviously, there's no rule infringements. Basically, you can't run towards the white line and block your unit against it or anything like enemy against it or anything like that. Over here, Arrow of Kurnos coming in, and would you look at that? Looks like it was, what was it targeting? Was it going after the Dragonback Slayers or the Bolt Thrower? I would hope the Bolt Thrower, but if it was the Bolt Thrower, it missed miserably. Xiphos clearly not happy with whatever those 2 Arrows of Kurnos just did. Alright, Rangers are coming out. We're going to see the 2 Waystalkers coming out, and they're going to be trying to target down the Master Engineer as quickly as possible. Over here, going to see a Soul Quench. Did it get canceled? Yeah, it got canceled. It looks like the Spellweaver got staggered there. But a Soul Quench wasn't to be coming in at those Quarrelers, and here it is. Let's see what kind of damage it gets. It looks like it has a good angle, and oh, man! Almost half health taken off there, at least a third, and that's a very nice spell. You don't see it too often against the Dwarfs, but I think right here, we could see it get a lot of value if he keeps up shots like that. Waystalkers continuing to fire away at the Master Engineer. We have some Wood Elf archers continuing to push forward to engage and start firing away on this flank. Obviously, that is going to be what they need to do to fulfill the attacking rule. Right now, Master Engineer continuing to get sniped down, though, and there goes the first volley from the Way Watchers into the Longbeards, hitting them in the shielded flank, unfortunately, but still doing quite a lot of damage, knocking out about a quarter of their health in 1 volley. Here comes another Soul Quench. Oh, there it goes, even though they were staggered. And oh, wow, that one not going to be nearly as effective. It looks like a nice dodge from the Dowie, although for a moment there it looked like it might catch 2 units at once. Over here, Coilers look like they're going to get targeted by these Waystalkers now, and the Dwarf's not going to enjoy that. Xiphos doing a good job of keeping them on manual fire, so he, gets a volley off, keeps them hidden for a second, and then comes in and gets another volley off, preventing the bolt thrower from getting too much damage down on top of them. Some nice fire discipline on display, which is no surprise from Xiphos, but RTK Alrik Raw with a very nice formation, and I think very much anticipating this kind of build from Xiphos, hence the reason he brought such a huge number of Quarrelers with the good armor, the good shields. It really is going to help his chances in the long haul against this kind of kite build that Xiphos brought. Ooh, Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin hitting the Spell Singer of High Magic. She does have Apotheosis, though, so got to keep in mind that even though she's very squishy and lightly armored, she can actually heal herself up a bit. And oh my god! I'm going to watch that replay after this battle. That was, oh my god, perfect angle. Just destroyed that unit of Quarrelers. Those Quarrelers got dominated, but here the Spellweaver of High Magic is getting dominated by the Dwarfs, and I don't see an Apotheosis yet. Quarrelers look like they're going to be just missing this last volley of shots, but the Bolt Thrower might be firing away at her still. Oh no, going for the Lost Sylvan Knights. Actually pretty good targeting there, but Spellweaver is going to be able to heal up with that Apotheosis and get right back into the fight, I think. Over here, Lost Sylvan Knights coming in for a charge into the Dwarf Warriors and then pulling back out very quickly. Like it or not, guys, I mean, Xiphos playing this skirmish game very well. You can see he's just moving up all of his firepower at once. They've taken very little damage, and most importantly, their fire discipline has been on point, so they still have plenty of ammunition to try to pull this Dwarf army apart. But the Dwarves still have a ton of Chaff Infantry, and once the Wood Elves run out of ammunition, the only thing they can rely on to clear out Chaff Infantry is the Lost Sylvan Knights. So I think the Dowie priority number one is, besides surviving the ranged fire, is how do we eliminate the Lost Sylvan Knights, because the Dowie can outlast the Wood Elves, no question in my mind, as long as they can just get through the initial barrages and find some way to neutralize the Lost Sylvan Knights. Sorry, Shalaba28, I will try to minimize it. Or do it very, very slowly. So right now, Dwarfs continuing to hold their position on the high ground. Wood Elves pulling out, regrouping a little bit. Still have the Glade Riders hidden in the back there, kind of like a little ace in the hole contingency by the looks of it. Spellweaver continue to get targeted by the Dwarf ranged units, but honestly I think Xiphos is doing this intentionally. I think he is trying to bait as much of the Dwarf fire at the Spellweaver so he can dodge it, heal up that single entity, and save damage from his skirmishers. I think the Bolt Thrower initially has been targeting the Lost Sylvan Knights, but based on its position now, it looks like it did start shooting at the Eagles, but now it looks like it's going after this really bunched up formation of Glade Guard, and that's, yeah, beautiful. Beautiful targeting there. These guys are way too grouped up. A mistake from Xiphos, which you don't catch too often, is these kinds of bunched up units of archers, and the Dowie, led by Alrik Raw, they're doing a good job noticing it and punishing him a bit, getting some good damage in. Balance of power still very much in favor of the Wood Elves, though. Alright, Lost Sylvan Knights continuing to run around, playing it very cautiously. Still a full model count. And now you have the Starfire Shafts closing the gap a bit more, I think getting more confident as this battle wears on. Once again, Alrik Raw really focusing on that Spellweaver. And I just think it's going to not pay off for him in the end. It's about killing models in this Wood Elf army right now. Over here, Lost Sylvan Knight starting to take a bit of damage, but we'll see if there's going to be another Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin to slow it down so they can get some pot shots off. But unless they can pin it in place, get some Slayers on it, and really dish out a lot of damage, the Dowie have no access to magic damage in this army. So it's going to be tough to bring down the Lost Sylvan Knights. All right. I mean, right now, the dwarfs just, I'm sure, frustrated at the position they're finding themselves in, kind of having a difficult time putting up any real resistance in these frontline engagements. The archers from the Wood Elves just being perfectly spaced from their Dowie counterparts. Like, as you can see, just like, look at where Xiphos keeps his archers. They're like always right out of range or just barely in range so he can pull them out quickly, and that's just the same everywhere. Like, they're just perfectly positioned to be at the good killing range without putting themselves in unnecessary danger. And then every time the Dowie try to push out here a little bit, the Lost Sylvan Knights are just going to come out and start ramming them, and they're using the terrain very nicely here, basically sitting down in this goalie to protect themselves from the bolt thrower and then coming out whenever the infantry is nearby. Alright, Waystalkers making a push over here. They're getting really close. I'm curious to see what they're trying to go for, what target they are trying to snipe out of existence here. Big volley going down. Ooh, hitting these rangers up here. And now it looks like the Wood Elves might take this opportunity to completely snipe him. But, oh, the fiery ring of Thori going through. Doing some decent damage across this line of archers, but unfortunately not like a game-changing amount of damage. So unless something crazy happens, this Master Engineer is down for the count. Alright, Lost Sylvan Knights continuing to just play it safe. Here comes another Soul Quench. Oh, this time going after the Dragonback Slayers by the looks of it. Getting a good connection. And once again, guys, like, think of how much ammunition and time has been spent and invested just trying to kill this Spellweaver, and she's still okay. There goes another Master Rune of Wrath and Rune. And unless the dwarfs can completely eliminate her right now, then it's just going to be wasted resources at the end of the battle. Okay. Lost Sylvan Knights getting on top of Longbeard. Oh no, Dwarf Warriors and the Dragonback Slayers are coming in. They're going to peel off and retreat from that engagement, but keep in mind, chat, they still have 24 models. One Apotheosis could get these guys right back up to a healthy place. And the balance of power, have to be inclined to agree. It's still close, still anybody's game, but the Wood Elves seem to have some pretty big advantages here, just looking at the field, in my opinion. Without the Lost Sylvan Knights, I think this is a dwarf game, period, but Dowie just having a really difficult time finding a way to neutralize them. Rune Lord getting in combat with some Waystalkers, who are also pinned in place by some Dwarf Warriors. Looks like he's peeling off that attack. Every heal on Lord is not used on Stag. No, that's a good point, but right now he is controlling his models very well. He's lost one model from the Stag Knights this entire battle, and I haven't seen him heal him once. And I guarantee you, between Soul Quench and Apotheosis, he'll still have enough magic for another Apotheosis soon. And man, what a devastating Soul Quench into these miners too. Because you have to remember too, she has Arcane Conduit, so that's a huge boost to the Winds of Magic throughout the battle. Over here now, though, look at this. The Dwarfs really making a big play. I like to see this. Waystalkers getting eliminated by the Rune Lord and just some cheap Dwarf Warriors. These guys cannot go toe-to-toe with any Dwarven infantry. They are just so squishy in melee combat. Will the Rune Lord be able to kill either of them, or are they just going to run away and then regroup safely away from the danger? Over here, Spellweaver getting into combat with the Rune Lord too. Going to get out of there pretty quick, though. And here come the Stag Knights. Lost Sylvan Knights going into combat against the Rune Lord 2 now. And the balance of power is dead even, chat. What's going to happen from here? Do the dwarfs have enough infantry to pull this off? Still have a unit of miners with blasting charges, full blasting charges, full health. Still have some dwarf warriors that are doing just fine. And over here, some more Dwarf Warriors, and the Dragonback Slayers are still about half health, but it looks like the Wood Elves are trying to change that right now with some very nice fire from across the field. Got the Glade Guard and the Way Watchers seeming to expend the last of their ammunition in an attempt to eliminate these Dragonback Slayers. Over here, would you look at that? Glade Riders coming in for a big charge on top of the Miners with blasting charges, preventing them from getting their blasting charges off. But oh, here they go, trying to throw off a volley, even though they're pinned in place. And now Way Watchers coming in for a rear charge, and look at that. Combined arms tactics going in here to really do some big damage on top of the blasting charges. But Dragonback Slayers are pulling into the engagement too, and the Glade Riders' Spears are going to have to run away very quickly. Alright, Wood Elf starting to look stronger again in the balance of power and on the field, but the leadership battle continues. Right now we have Dwarf Warrior supporting the Rune Lord. Rune Lord doing some good damage against the Waystalker, both of them very unhealthy. Same with the Spellweaver, but the Rune Lord's starting to take some significant damage too. I just think with his superior melee stats and 120 armor in melee combat against these Waystalkers, who don't have the best weapon strength to begin with, I think he can take them all with some infantry support. But, oh, a big hit on top of the Spellweaver. But will the Rune Lord's leadership waver and break? There goes. He's getting shot in the back now by archers. Lost Sylvan Knights are nearby. He's starting to stabilize with this charge bonus. But looking across the rest of the field, what's happening here? Dwarf infantry in the back line. Looks like they're slowly but surely going to win those fights against their missile enemies. Over here, Waystalker once again wavering, getting close to routing, but the Rune Lord is surrounded. Okay, there goes one routing. There goes the Dwarf Lord though. Oh no! What a slugfest here in the late stages of this battle. The Lost Sylvan Knights coming in to knock these Dwarf Warriors around. In the back lines, like I was saying, Dwarf infantry doing okay, but now that they have no leadership and they're completely isolated, I think that Wood Elves will be able to just pull them apart. So a beautiful game, both players here, but Xiphos going to pull it out in the end. They use a Soul Quench. I'm very excited to see like the total damage that this Spellweaver got, because those Soul Quenches were absolutely devastating. Yeah, definitely won the attrition battle. If the Dwarfs didn't have the damage, the Wood Elves hadn't dealt that damage with the Soul Quenches, yeah, I agree. No doubt in my mind they would have been able to tank through that. Yeah, it's a good value against the Dwarfs for a Soul Quench. It's a very cheap spell, and this isn't even including all the healing she did too with Apotheosis, so I think the Spellweaver of High Magic, a very interesting and effective choice against the Dwarfs. Waystalkers doing well for themselves too, but in melee combat, yeah, once they're out of ammunition, they are just like completely useless against the Dwarfs. Like miners could kill them. Waystalkers, you know, don't want to beat a dead horse, but just case in point, just like Xiphos is so good at distancing and ranged battles. Like, this is, as much as people may not like the skirmish style, and I certainly don't like to play against it because it's frustrating as hell, but it's a very difficult thing to pull off. Like, these kinds of armies I can't play, and it's not just a style thing. I think it's like, honestly, it just requires a lot more discipline in micro than, you know, I'm used to. I kind of like to, you know, do my big old charge in and forget about a unit for a while. And with builds like this, you just really can't afford to forget anything because you need to get maximum value out of everything. All right, here we go. Removing that army blocker and getting to the battle, starting with our red player this time, as it is round 2. Trolls. So, starting with the Empire, led by Xiphos. Gonna have silver bullets. Gonna have 2 units, make it 3 units of spearmen, sorry, with a flagellant, 2 units of great swords. Very interesting army so far. Am I missing anything? No, doesn't seem so. Got the silver bullets. We got 2 outriders. Going to have a light wizard. Going to be on top of a horse with the power stone and net of a mintock. We're also going to be seeing a jade wizard on foot with earthblood, nothing else. We're going to have a unit of demogryph knights with halberds. I don't know why I feel like my controls are working a little bit weird right now. But yeah, demogryph knights with halberds. Is that 2 of them? Yeah, so 2 demogryph knights with halberds. We're also going to be seeing Karl Franz up on top of Deathclaw. He's going to have Galmaraz, the Reichel and Runefang stand your ground, and Blood Roar with Foeseeker. For the vampire counts, we have 1, 2 units of crypt ghouls on either flank for a total of 4. We're also going to have direwolves with blood knights on either flank. On the left flank, it will be the Regiment of Renowned Dire Pack Wolves with that bonus versus large. Going to have a single Felbat up in the air with a Mortis engine beneath them. And then we're going to be seeing the Strigoi Ghoul King leading this army into battle. He's going to be on top of his Terrorgeist, going to be bringing Bloodlust, Command of the Unliving, Invocation of the Heck, Spirit Leech, and that's going to round out the vampire forces. Also going to be seeing a little Necromancer down here with the Forbidden Rod and the Zombie Summon. Alright. So very rushed build from the vampire counts. Not that they have too many other styles to go for. Versus, once again, a very... I guess this army isn't quite as asymmetric as the last one, but just like, yeah, very strange, unique builds from Xiphos here. So clearly just going to be using these outriders to harass and try to dish out as much damage as possible to the vampire count player on the approach. But I worry for the Empire in terms of getting overwhelmed. But, you know, as I say that, got to remember that these 2 greatswords will have a field day against all of this zombie infantry. The Demogryph Knights with halberds, as long as they get good engagements, can do well against the Blood Knights. But it's all going to be about the infantry support here, so guess we'll see what happens. But, you know, vampire counts, I feel like, tend to have a stronger matchup against the Empire, and right now it just looks like Alrik is playing it very smart. So over here, Demogryph Knights going in for a big charge on top of the Spearmen. Karl Franz on top of some Skeleton Warriors, just trying to get some early damage in. You know, might as well do it. Over here, Dire Pack Wolves coming after the Outriders. Demogryph Knights just kind of bumping into them, neither one of them actually engaging each other. And now the Demogryph Knights are going to be a bit too late to catch them out. Alright, Spearmen getting targeted again by Karl Franz and the Demogryph Knights. Strigoi Ghoul King coming in for some of the action, and now the Blood Knights, the Dire Pack Wolves, everybody is coming in. Net of a Mintot going down on top of the Strigoi Ghoul King, and Karl Franz looks like he's going to be able to escape to the safety of his own lines. And the silver bullets are going to be pumping the Strigoi Ghoul King full of silver bullets. So, right now, Empire getting some good plays off. Overcast, or sorry, just a regular Earthblood and Stand Your Ground going down to help the Empire out in these engagements. Looks like Demogryph Knights with halberds are being supported by infantry, in this case some great swords against the Blood Knights. Blood Knights taking a lot of damage, but so are the Demogryph Knights. And let's go ahead and just take kind of a higher level view to see what's happening across the battlefield right now. Kind of a game just like the greatswords screening out Crypt Ghouls. Crypt Ghouls obviously can't be caught by greatswords, but if they do, they'll be knocked out very quickly. Over here, the Vampire trying to crack this nut into the back lines, getting on top of the Silver Bullets. But you got the Flagellants and the Great Swords in here too. Karl Franz taking a lot of damage. Galmaraz, the Reichland Moonfang, everything pop. Looks like one of the Demogryph Knights is terror routing right now, though, with the Mortis Engine here. And will the Empire be able to pull this off? I don't know. We have the Light Wizard routing. Alrik Ral looking like he's coming out here with a vengeance, trying to just completely overwhelm and eliminate this Empire army before it can catch its breath. And right now, Karl Franz looks like he's in a very bad spot. Yeah, Direpack Wolf's getting a beautiful rear charge here against the Spearmen. That should break them. And then, yeah, the Empire's formation's just been compromised at this point. You will see Bright Wizard is back online. Karl Franz getting chased by the Strigoi Ghoul King, though. Have Outriders trying to come over here and help. Light Wizard may be able to get a net of a Mintok off, which would save Karl Franz's life, potentially. Jade Wizard here does have potential for more Earthbloods. And I have to say, while I wasn't paying attention, one of the Blood Knights looks like they're about to get eliminated for good. Alright. Karl Franz is off the map, and with that, I think the chances for the Empire to pull this off have gone down to 0. There go these Outriders, going to get routed off that map very quickly. And there goes another tool from the Empire's kit. Net of Mintok hitting down these Blood Knights right at the last minute. Keep in mind, one Blood Knight's been killed. But yeah, Direpack Wolf coming into the rear now. They're going to hit these guys so hard. Breath from the Strigoi Ghoul King, and the balance power is just really going against Xiphos here, and I think we're going to see a concession here any second. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to the top and start with RTK Alrik Ral in blue. Now, his high elf build is going to have a high number of Eternal Guard. It looks like going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 3 of them with shields, 2 without. We are going to have Deep Wood Scouts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Going to be taking a look here at the Lost Sylvan Knights and the ROR Zotes, the Enigmas of Giran. They do have regrowth and Flesh to Stone to cast for that. Now, leading this army, we're going to have a Waystalker, in charge of the skirmishing contingent. What the hell, Waystalker? Where are you at? There he is. Got Arab Kurnos and Iab Kurnos, and then we're going to have a Spellweaver of high magic, this time being brought by Alrik Ral. He's going to have Tempest, Soul Quench, and Apotheosis with Arcane Conduit. Also going to be riding an Eagle into battle. Interesting, interesting. Over here for the High Elves, what'd you guess it? We are indeed going to see a infantry/missile contingent of 5 Shadow Warriors. Also going to be seeing Illyrian Reavers, 1, 2. Got 3 Dragon Princes. And the one in the center will be the Regiment of Renown Fireborn. For the leadership, we have Alariel, the Radiant, riding her Eagle into battle. She too is going to have Tempest, funnily enough. Also going to be seeing Star of Averlorn, Arcane Conduit, with Shield of Thorns, Earthblood, Shieldstone of Isha, and the Boon of Isha with Shield of Sapphire. Alright, Alrik Ral firing a lot at Alariel. Don't like to see that. Definitely want to see him focusing on the Shadow Warriors as much as possible. She's going to be dodging the shots and healing herself up, and Alrik, we all should know that Xiphos is, you know, going to be able to micro her so well to where a lot of his missiles are just going to be wasted value. Here we go. Going to be seeing Alrik now start targeting a lot of the Shadow Warriors who are pushing in hard against the Wood Elves. Wood Elves, got to keep in mind, they do have the infantry. There's really no infantry from the High Elves besides the Shadow Warriors who can double as infantry eventually. But right now, look at this. Lariel the Radiant getting targeted by a Tempest. Soul Quench is actually going to miss her, and she's taking a ton of damage, but now the High Elves pushing in. Ooh. Stag Knights hitting the Dragon Princes. Going to see the Fireborn charging into... Oh my god, Alariel! Is she going to survive, or is the Earthblood going... or is she going to go down for the count? Look at this. Can you believe it? Right now, the Spellweaver of High Magic, if she goes chasing Alariel, she might be able to get her off the map. I'm not sure. This is absolutely insane, but a huge play coming in from Alrik Ral right now with this Wood Elf army. Can he capitalize on it? Over here is Zotes getting in combat with Dragon Princes. The Fireborn taking a ton of damage. The other Dragon Prince is also taking a lot of damage. And the High Elf Infantry, or sorry, the Wood Elf Infantry is just making such a big difference right now. But look at this. Alariel is coming back, probably getting ready for a Star of Averlorn. Oh, Arrow of Kurnos going to hit her, though. The Waystalker. Okay, there goes an Earthblood. She's going to start routing again right after she gets the Earthblood off. We have the Zotes coming in here after the Shadow Warriors now, along with the Lost Sylvan Knights, and the High Elves are on their heels. Xiphos is on his heels indeed, and the Wood Elves are really pressing their advantage right now. I think the initiative is squarely in their corner, but the High Elves are not out of this yet. This is Alariel, one of the most notorious lords in the game for going right to the edge of death and then coming right back to it. And right now, the Wood Elves need to make a concerted effort to not let her return to the field and become a serious, you know, power player here as we get into the mid to late game. Right now, Lost Sylvan Knights still 20 models. Apotheosis going down to heal him. Enigmas of Giran also doing well. And Earthblood going down once again on top of Alariel the Radiant. Tempest going down over here on top of the Spellweaver of High Magic. Xiphos getting a little bit bunched up. You can see that the High Elves seem to be doing a good job keeping their spacing out, whereas Xiphos right now is really getting kind of cooped up into a ball. Over here, going to be seeing Alariel the Radiant diving into combat. Star of Avalorn, I'm sure she's trying to get it down, but I don't... Ooh, there it goes, but there she is. She shatters. Star of Avalorn canceled out, and will the Wood Elves, or the High Elves, be able to do anything without their leader? The Zotes are in here. The the Lost Sylvan Knights are getting smashed. I think there was quite a lot of friendly fire. The Shadow Warriors also doing a ton of damage to them. But the Enigmas of Giran still hanging in there, doing just fine for themselves. Dragon Princes not looking too well, and now we have more Eternal Guard coming out. In fact, 2 units of full health Eternal Guard now getting into the fight, and the balance of power is really starting to look bad for ODM Xiphos. Alright, I mean, the game continues. Alariel, as I said, was shattered and killed. Shadow Warriors still holding together pretty well. I mean, a lot of them, you know, still very healthy. But they're running low on ammunition, and the problem is the Dragon Princes, I just don't think are in a place right now where they can really threaten the Zotes anymore. There's 12 models on these guys. Flesh of Stone on top of them, so they have 120 armor. And look at that. Also going to be seeing an Apotheosis going down on top of them. So I think the Zotes with the Eternal Guard are going to win the day. Flesh of Stone still with that 120 armor, negating a ton of the damage from the Shadow Warriors who don't have armor piercing damage to speak of. Oh, a big hit though right after the Flesh of Stone wore off. They still have 12 models though. Can the High Elves eliminate models? That's really what they need to do here if they're trying to win it. Zotes, ooh, taking another big volley. Still 12 models, though. I'm sure they've used both of their Earthbloods by now, but just trying to keep track of where the Apotheosises can heal these Enigmas back up to. And Right now, it just kind of looks like the writing's on the wall. You know, anything happens in terms of a leadership loss for the High Elves, and I think chain routes will be quickly following. Alright, High Elves doing a big push right now. Eternal Guard with shields pushing out, leading the charge. Zote's coming up from behind, but oh, another big volley on top of them. Over here, Shadow Warriors getting caught down by the Eternal Guard. And the fight is real, people. Zote's taking a ton of damage. Xiphos still a deadly player even at these stages in the game. But it looks like it's going to be too little too late, and High Elves are going to start to shatter from there. So a beautiful series and a very nice comeback victory for RTK Alrik coming back from a 0-1 deficit to win 2 in a row and take the series.